Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we are working on our metal planer restoration. In our previous episode here, we finally got the base of the machine all scraped in. It's nice and flat, everything's in great shape. Next step, we're working on the table. And I've got it flipped upside down right now where the V's are pointing up. And the plan here is same thing as before. We're going to scrape this into the bed now. So we first, if you remember, if you've been watching this series, you know that I sent both the table and the base out and had all these surfaces reground by Cash Masters up at Kinetic. He's up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but he did an outstanding job grinding these. I've been using the table here as my master to scrape in the base. Now that we've got the base scraped in, we will use this as the master to scrape this in. And this theoretically should go very quickly because this was ground. There's really no reason for it to have moved around much. We know that the base is in really good shape now. So plan here is I'm going to get my biax scraper out. I'm just going to start by doing a blind crosshatch pattern on this. We will go in here and just put a cross pattern over the whole thing. We'll then come in here and ink up the bed. We'll blue it up. We'll see what kind of transfer we got and then decide from there how much scraping we're going to need to do to get this thing where it matches over here pretty well. So that's the game plan. Come along for the ride. So just a quick look. This is the scraped surface that I've got over here on the planer bed after, of course, this was ground and then we scraped it into the table. We got nice scraped surface in here. I've showed it all blued up to the master in a previous video, but this is a good surface. This is what you're looking for in a machine surface, one that's got this scrape finish where you have individual points of contact and you have little valleys behind it. That gives a place for the oil to go that really helps keeps these machine running very well. So this is the table, and this surface here has been ground. Now I've inked it up, and so what you're seeing on here is some leftover ink that's on it. No big deal. That'll come right off when we scrape it. But this is a perfectly flat, I say perfectly flat, it's pretty darn flat surface. And on a machine surface, you know, you really want to have, again, that broken up pattern where the oil can get in here. Now, it's not unusual to have one ground surface and one scrape surface running on the ground surface. We could leave this like it is, but we can also make it better by scraping. So we're going to go to the effort to do that, and that'll give us two scrape surfaces running on top of one another, which will be even better. So I'm going to get my biax power scraper out, and like I said, we're just going to do a blind scraping pattern. I'm not shooting for any marks or anything at this time. I'm just trying to get a crosshatch pattern in here so that we can start inking it up and really seeing what's going on. I put some blocks under one side just to try to get this angled up a little bit, make it a little bit easier. It's a lot easier to scrape flat. When you're doing an angle, it really gets kind of difficult. So I'm hoping that by picking it up a little bit, it just makes my job a little bit easier. So we'll get down through here. Try not to get in your way too bad. And we're just gonna go across here. Got my initial crosshatch done now on this top side of this way. We'll go ahead and do this one while I got it tilted in this direction, and then we'll turn it the other way and hopefully come back across it that way. So back to scraping, guys. This side's much easier to do. without having to be quite the contortionist. Whew, it's a workout. It's a lot easier scraping this side closer to me. I'm really needing to kind of lean over to get these up here on this top one and do a good job on them. And I'm not the contortionist that I used to be. All right, we're halfway done. So what I need to do now is drop this down, raise this side up, get it up a little bit, and do these two faces on the other side. More scraping. So after we scraped the bottom of these ways, I did take my precision ground flat stone and just stoned off all the burrs, and I got the table flipped back over where it's ready now to go over on the base. And we're going to check this and against the bluing. We're going to blue up the ways here. In fact, that's my next step. I've got a roller here with some ink on it. I've already wiped these out, cleaned them real good, and I just want to put a nice layer of ink on these. And that will give me something to transfer to the table when we put it on here, and we can see the areas that are contacting one another. So let me get this all inked up, and we'll move it over and check her out. I often say bluing because traditionally in scraping you use a blue dye. They used to use Prussian blue as a spotting ink. I like something that's a little bit darker. I like this black better. I can just see it better. It really doesn't matter what color it is. But when you hear me referring to bluing, this is what I'm talking about. This is putting the ink in here. And I'm just using a mixture of some Canode bluing material as well as some black ink. And it makes a nice transfer material here. So let me get all these inked up, and we'll be ready to transfer the ink. Next step, let's move the table over here and try it out. So I've got it hooked up on the gantry crane here. We'll pick the table up and then bring it over here toward the table. Carefully move the table over to the base. Got to go up just a little bit more. That gear's hitting down there. And I'm going to get over here where I can make sure this thing drops down in those ways just fine. It is kind of swinging back and forth, and we have to line those ways up. All right, we're starting to go in. The other thing I got to do is kind of make sure that we get the gear meshed right. And we are down on the ways now. All right, I'm going to lower this down and we'll unhook the chain and we'll slide the table back and forth a cycle to transfer that ink. Next step here is I want to slide the table across the ways. I'm just using the main pulley here to use some mechanical advantage to slide that table back and forth, and we're just transferring that ink between the base and the table. And I want to do a pretty good full stroke here. We'll let the end of the table come off down there by at least a foot, maybe two, which is what will happen when it's in normal operation. I think the maximum that it can go off is about 30 inches on a very long full stroke. All right, I'm going to go back the other way now. And that should be back in the middle. Now we're going to raise her back up and take her for another ride. And we'll take a look and see what kind of transfer we got. With any luck, we've got pretty good coverage. We should theoretically have excellent coverage on this part. But I won't be surprised if it does require a little bit of touch up, but hoping for not much. Let's see. Moment of truth is coming up. All right, I'm going to take a peek. Oh, yeah. Guys, I'm not going to try to flip this table back over again because I think we're probably done scraping. As I expected, it was going to print up pretty good like it is. I am kind of giving you a peek of what it looks like up underneath the bottom here. And I will comment that the ends printed a little bit heavy on all sides. I really think that was more of a factor of when we were moving the table across, those ends are always coming in contact with fresh ink, so it was just getting more ink on the ends. But the important thing is that we've got fairly constant contact through there all the way up and down. There are a couple little light spots in there, but I'm happy with it. Let me show you the other side so you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. And what you're looking at here is just going to the other side of the table, and very similar appearance. We got nice contact all the way up and down through there. Again, a little bit heavy on the ends, a little bit lighter in the middle, but I think that's more just the fresh ink that is coming up on those ends. Again, all in all, I'm happy, I'm satisfied. This is exactly what I was anticipating. This is exactly what I was expecting. While arguably I could do some scraping and maybe make this a little bit better, I think it's fine. I really do. We got to remember that this table's 8 foot long, and we've got plenty of contact area from one end to the other. This is going to allow it to glide across those ways over there on the base just fine. Well, I'm really happy about this. This was a lot easier scraping this table in than it was the base. And just like I have commented before, guys, we had these ground when the base was ground originally. It was fully supported on the grinding machine, and it was in excellent shape. But when we put it in the shop environment, sitting on basically 3 points of contact, 3 different legs, 6 feet, but basically 3 different points of contact, it caused the geometry of those ways to change, and that's normal. That's just dealing with machinery. With the table, however, Cash Masters, I give him all the credit up at Kinetic. He's the guy that ground this thing in. This table was dead spot on when it left up there. It's dead spot on now. And because it is fully supported in these V-ways, it is fully supported even sitting on this, well, not maybe necessarily on this bench, but when it's sitting in the ways, it's fully supported. It's going to retain that straight grind that we had. So very little scraping to get this where it needed to be. If this planer had been sitting on fully supported, like it was on the grinder when it was done, we probably would have had to do very little scraping to it as well. But what's important is now we've got the base scraped into its environment where it's sitting. We got the table scraped into the base. All is good. What's left for me to do next is get all this ink cleaned up off of everything, and we can start putting the rest of this machine back together, which I'm really excited about. Probably put the uprights on next, and there's going to be some alignment issues there. I've already scraped all those parts before I even sent the stuff off to get ground. I had done that. It was back last summer. I'm probably 9 months ago now. We did a lot of that scraping. I'm probably going to double check it just before we put it back on here. But we may still have to do a little bit of alignment to get these columns square. Hopefully not a lot, but we may have to do a little bit there. And but we've hit a major milestone here right now, getting this all this scraping done on the main ways. This is huge, and it's really going to hopefully let us get moving pretty strong on getting this machine rebuilt now. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned a little bit along the way and see a little bit of the process of machine rebuilding. It's a lot of grunt work. It takes a lot of time, but the end results will hopefully be worth it here. And with that, that's going to be a wrap. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and thumbs up are appreciated, as are those comments. And guys, we will catch you on the next video.